CVSA sticker, if you have one, make sure it's there. You want to check the mirrors, make sure they're mounted, not cracked, damaged, or broken. You want to check for fluid leaks, any antifreeze, oil, fuel. You want to check the windshield for any cracks or damage, no illegal stickers. So we're going to check the license plate and the bumper, make sure it's not cracked or damaged. The license plate's mounted securely and it's up to date. So we'll lift the hood and go to the right side of the tractor. Lug nuts, all there, not cracked or damaged. Hub seal, mounted secure, not cracked, damaged, or leaking. Make sure the valve stem isn't bent and it has a cap. Suspension, spring hangers, front and rear, the leaf springs not cracked or damaged. U-bolts, mounted secure, hub and shock absorber, not cracked, damaged, or leaking. We're looking for steering, fluid leaks. We got our coolant hoses not cracked, damaged, or leaking. We got our belts and hoses. Belts not cut or frayed, no more than 3/4 of an inch of free play in the alternator. We got exhaust is properly mounted to the turbo, no cracks or damage, not leaking. We got our brakes, hoses, chamber, slack adjuster, push rod, drums and shoes, all properly mounted and functioning. Radiator, fan, mounted secure, not cracked, damaged, or leaking. All the blades on the fan are good. Turn the lights on, make sure they work, make sure our overhead lights work. Check our steering, make sure the wheel doesn't have a lot of play in it. Check our horns, air horn, city horn. Check our gauges. In order to do that, we got to start the truck. Set the pad down, and we're in neutral, and the brakes are set. Okay. Then we're going to check our turn signal indicators, left, right, four-way flashers, our high beam indicator, low beam. Going to check the windows and our mirrors, make sure there's no illegal stickers, no cracks or damage to them. Our wiper blades aren't cracked or damaged and they work properly. Make sure our mirrors are adjusted properly, not cracked or damaged. Checking our heater and defroster, make sure it goes on, blows up on the window, comes out on the floor. Going to check our seat belt, make sure it works properly, it's not cut or frayed, and it locks into place and releases properly. Okay, now we're going to do the air brake test. Our air pressure is fully charged, about 120 psi, 125. Put the truck in gear, release the brakes, shut the engine off, key on so the gauges work. The first step is the applied test. You want to push your service brake about 90 pounds of pressure and hold it for 1 minute. Shouldn't lose more than 4 pounds of pressure in 1 minute. Next, we're going to check our warning lights and buzzer. We're going to fan the brakes down until the gauges hit at or before 60 psi. The buzzer and light indicator will come on your dash. There's the buzzer and the light. Next is the spring brake test. Spring brakes should pop out between 20 and 40 psi. So you're going to fan it down and they should pop out. The tractor be after the trailer, always. Start the engine and we're going to build our pressure back up. We're checking our governor cut in and cut out. The cut in will be indicated as soon as the gauges start rising. It'll cut out about 120, 125 psi. We'll know that when the gauges quit rising. While I'm waiting for that to come up, I want to check my water temperature, make sure it's at the proper level. My fuel and my DEF gauges, make sure they're at the proper level. Oil pressure is at the proper level. And the voltage is putting out the proper amount of voltage, 12 to 14 volts. Now that the system's fully charged again, the gauges stopped rising, you want to do your tug test. Truck in first gear, release the trailer, and check the tractor brakes. Tug on it, they work properly. Set the trailer, release the tractor, check the trailer brakes. They work properly. The last step is the service brake test, which palms down gently on the wheel. You want to move ahead slowly and apply the service brake firmly. You're looking for any pull left or right would be an indication of a brake or suspension problem. Get it in the shop. That completes the air brake test. Set the brakes, and we're going to grab our permit book. And we're going to check all our permits, make sure if the tag is in there, make sure our insurance is up to date, the cab card, the insurance, any other permits you might require depending on what state you're going to be in. When we're done with that, we're going to exit the cab. We're getting out of the truck. We're going to check the rest of our components on the compliance list. One is the the service record. Make sure it's there and that we're up to date on our services. Check the battery compartment. This would be under other. Hit other and you can put any problems with it or the DEF. We're going to pull the latch for our side compartment, and we're going to check our safety equipment. Make sure it's all there and properly functioning. We're going to check our 3 reflective triangles, make sure they're there and properly functioning. Check our fire extinguisher, properly mounted, fully charged, it's the right size and type. Check our lights, spare lights and fuses, make sure they're in there. You can also check our federal inspection sticker, make sure it's up to date. Now we're going to check the rest of the side of the tractor, make sure there's no damage, the lights are working. We'll check the fuel tank and the cap here, make sure it's not leaking and it's tight. We're going to move on to the next zone, which is back here. Our electrical and air lines are properly mounted, they're not dragging on the catwalk. Check our fuel tank, make sure it's mounted, not cracked, damaged, or leaking. Check our drive shaft, make sure it's not bent or damaged. Going to check the catwalk for any damage, make sure it's mounted and secure. We're going to check the splash guard, make sure it's not cracked or damaged. Going to check the suspension, the hangers, the spring, the shocks, the airbags, the U-bolts. Make sure they're all there, not cracked or damaged. And check our air brakes, the brake hoses, brake chamber, slack adjuster, push rod, not bent or damaged, all mounted and secure. Brake drums, not damaged or discolored, which would be an indication of overheating. Brake shoes, not cracked or damaged. There's at least a 1/4 inch of pad on the shoes and they're not oil soaked. Then we're going to go to the tires. We're going to check the sidewalls for any abrasions, bulges, or cuts. I'm going to check for even tread wear. Depth no less than 2/32 seconds, checked with a gauge. And we're going to check the air pressure with our gauge. And we're going to check our lug nuts, our rims, make sure they're not cracked or damaged, no illegal welds. All the lug nuts are here, not cracked, damaged, or broken. And the hub seals mounted secure, not cracked, damaged, or leaking. I'm going to go to the fifth wheel assembly. The apron to the trailer is not cracked or damaged. The skid plate's not cracked. There's no gap. The release arm's in the lock position. The frame is all mounted and secure, not cracked or damaged. All the bolts are there. And the sliding locking pins are in the lock position. Move back here to the mud flap. Make sure it covers both tires. It's not more than 8 inches off the ground and has reflectors on it. Then we go underneath. We're going to check our kingpin. Make sure it's not cracked or damaged or bent, and the locking jaw is completely around the kingpin. You want to check this every time you hook up a trailer. You're going to check all my lights, reflectors, reflector tape. Make sure they're working properly. All the lenses are intact. no condensation on them. Check the bottom of the trailer, make sure that all the cross braces are there, not cracked, damaged, or broken. We're going to check for any missing rivets or bolts, any lights or reflectors missing. Check our air and electrical lines, make sure they're mounted secure, not cracked, damaged, or leaking. We're going to check in here for our registration. That's where it should be. Checking that our inspection for our trailer is up to date, our federal and our service due registration. Okay, the variation on a reefer trailer from a dry box, it'll bring up a list of things. You want to check your belt, your oil level, basically your battery connections, and any leaks in the hoses. Then you want to come over here and check your temperature readout. Make sure your hours are up to date and it's cooling at the right level. And then you want to check the side of your trailer at the fuel tank. Make sure it's at the proper level. It's got fuel in it so you don't run out. As we walk down the trailer, we're going to check our landing gear, make sure it's mounted secure. The latch is in the locking position. All my cross braces are intact. I'm looking for any missing reflector tape. Make sure my placards aren't showing the wrong thing. The lights are mounted and secure. No missing rivets or bolts. You're going to check your airlines, make sure they're at least 18 inches off the ground per California regulations. We're going to check our airlines for our brake system. Mounted secure, not cracked, damaged, or leaking. Brake chambers, not cracked, damaged, or leaking. We're going to check our slack adjusters and push rods. Make sure they're not bent or damaged. We're going to check our brake drums. Make sure they're not cracked or damaged. They're not discolored. Check our brake shoes. Mounted secure, not cracked, damaged. No less than a 1/4 inch of pad on the shoes. No oil soaked. We're going to check our suspension. Spring hangers, mounted secure, not cracked or damaged. Leaf springs, not cracked, damaged, or scissored. U-bolts, mounted secure, not cracked, damaged, or broken. Check the sliding tandem release arm, make sure it's in the lock position, and all the pins are in the lock position on the slider. I'm going to check the tires for sidewalls, abrasions, bulges, or cuts. These are Bud wheels. They're properly spaced, no debris in them. Checking the depth of the tires, no less than 4/32 with a gauge. Air pressure, no less than 100 psi. Checked with a gauge, and even tread wear. Now we move outside. As you come down the side of the trailer, check the mud flap, make sure it's secure. Make sure your door tie, whatever it is there, not broken. Check the ABS light and marker lights. Check the placards, make sure they're mounted secure. Check your door ties, make sure they're mounted secure. The seals are good all the way around. The hinges are all mounted, no missing bolts. The latch works properly. If you got a load, make sure your load is secure. All my lights, reflectors, and reflector tape are there, not cracked, damaged, or missing. The license plate light works, and the plate is there, not cracked, damaged, or missing, and secure. Now we're going to check the other side of the tractor and trailer, the same as we did the left side. It would be your exhaust. On the Freightliners, it's underneath the cab, comes out the back. Make sure it's not cracked, damaged, or leaking. On the Volvos and others, sometimes the exhaust goes up the back of the cab. You just have to reference whatever vehicle you have. At this point, we've completed the pre-trip.